Those team fights looking very competitive for Jin Air. As the game went on, they're going to blue side ban the Nocturne. I'm really not a huge fan of this because Nocturne hasn't been strong. Umti's decision making on when to engage was on full display in the early game. He made more mistakes than he made positive plays, so I actually don't really care if the Nocturne goes the way of Jin Air, but seems like SKT are not willing to give it up. The Nocturne blue side ban. Taliyah banned on red. See what sort of bans slip through here. The Swain should be considered by Jin Air.
Yeah, might want to get that out of the hands of Purian and Bang as well.
Tal in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's three-way flex really for SK Telecom, so it would be a very high-value ban. It's going to be the fairest banned away by SKT on blue.
Been a pick that we've seen Teddy move to from time to time, so don't want to get giving that one over on the red side. They don't want to see a Varus Tahm Kench, for example, as a red side duo in the first round. Final ban here. Again, Swain is very irritating for them to deal with, but Zoe can also be a very irritating champion, and Shifa now is open. That's what the final ban will be. I'm on the Swain hype train, and I like the ban from Jin Air.
Okay. Taking that one away. So SKT, where does their first pick priority lie? Do we just see something like a Trundle come through?
Definitely would be a solid choice. But the Orianna flex, given that Orianna was played in the bottom lane in our first series, does seem like a very high priority for Orianna, but Sang-Yoon showed for Hanwha Life Esports the same strategy that was used for LGD in the LPL of bot lane Ori as well, and it's a bit suspicious to see it taken over such picks as Tahm Kench, the Shen, the Trundle especially. So I imagine that Umti will definitely give a close look to the Trundle on red side here.
More than likely just lock it in, which means maybe we just see Blank back over onto the Sejuani. But we'll have to see. For now, taking their time, running down the clock. And there we go. Okay. Does get locked in. So, Trundle for Jin Air.
See what pick they want to back it up with here. If they want Tahm Kench, this would be the time to take it. Big ticket support for most teams. Morgana's a pick that we've seen prioritized by a lot of teams, and Nova's very good on that pick as well, but Morgana tends to get undone by Orianna in team fights because the Black Shield is single target and can just be poked out by the QW most of the time.
Yeah.
They'll take the Morgana for a bit of lane supremacy anyway, and SKT will take the Tahm Kench.
So Tahm Kench looking like, again here, for effort, maybe just an 80 carry for Bang. And then try to focus some bans away onto Teddy if he doesn't lock things in.
Do we go ultra standard? Take Ezreal here?
It's one of Bang's most famous picks, obviously, so.
Ashe or Ezreal, to me, are the two that he would be heavily considering. Ezreal will be the safer, but he's going to hold on to the marksman pick. We already mentioned two, perhaps as a third he'd be happy to move to.
Ooh. Do we see the Kindred?
They sort of require backup that he hasn't always gotten on the Kindred pick, and he's hoping that Tal and also Pirion will be able to back him up on the Kindred. So an aggressive choice. I like the Taliyah play from Blank. The first game he played with Pirion. Kindred needs the same sort of TLC in the early game in order to get true value out of her invading and congestion on the marks. Jin Air see the Kindred. How will they respond? There's no marksman taken yet by the side of SKT.
Okay.
Previously, we'd just seen the Jin taken into Ezreal as a very nice laning answer to it. But they're just going to try and power pick the Jin, try to lock up people with a CC chain, and take a first round for the side of Jin Air.
So Teddy, yet again, going to be having this one, expecting the Storm Razor to come through first item for the Jin, and maybe the Hail of Blades yet again.
So let's talk about why you might do this, because it does appear to be quite an early grab on the Jin with no marksman. This is a really good way to dissuade the Orianna Tahm Kench bot lane, because that flex is very possible to happen. You could have that duo. I've seen it in the LPL before. Orianna, when the Jin opens up, is going to be outranged, going to try to just be juking left and right. That's why Ezreal is a bit of a struggling pick into the Jin. And then, let's say, okay, SKT can just go Ezreal or a marksman on blue side. That means they will get counterpick in the mid lane against Orianna. So it does make SKT more honest if you take the Jin where they take it when it comes to potentially answering a mid lane Orianna or the marksman in the bot side. So I actually don't mind it, even if at first glance, you're not really sure why the Jin was taken by Jin.
So Ashe, Malphite, banned by Jin Air. Azir from SKT. implying that they want that Orianna to in fact be for Pyrian.
Or they want options for Pyrian.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here. They won't be able to take the Azir matchup. If it does end up being the mid lane, you definitely don't take the Heimerdinger here. But they're flashing over some options. I imagine you take top lane and then flex the mid lane choice depending on whether it's going to be the Orianna or not.
Well, Jace is open, so we'll get locked in. We've seen this banned away quite a bit. Actually, I think almost every single game. Yeah, every other game today has been banned, but this time it makes it through.
Old pick for So1. Debuted as a top lane Riven player, and while we've seen him largely on tanks, we know he can situationally play. Picks like this. Malphite banned. As a potential answer into the Jace, So1 himself was the one who won lane really hard on the Trinity Force Malphite after a bit of time. Trinity Force Sunfire was the build there, a very common build path into Camille. The Ornn is there to have a way to interrupt the curtain call here from the Jhin. When it comes to marksman, again, Jhin has a good laning phase against the Ezreal, but the safety of the Ezreal might be something they prize, can go into Iceborne Gauntlet and answer the Jace damage. We see a lot of Jace versus Ezreal matchups, and it's a pretty comfortable one for the armor on the Ezreal.
So as the final lock-in for SK Telecom, just going to be giving that famed pick over to Bang. Final from Jhin Air. Kuzan's no longer here, but they're still playing around with the idea of this Lissandra.
That would be a lot of pick, because they already have Jhin Morgana. But the LeBlanc is going to be the final one here. LeBlanc versus Orianna. Bring it back one more time. 2018 LeBlanc can poke from range and doesn't have to get into dissonance trades every time. There's always a very active matchup. It's been favored for Ori and LeBlanc in the past. Fun one to see in the mid lane. Orianna back again for SKT, but it's Pyrian this time. Let's see how Grace does on the LeBlanc. It's one of the picks he's actually looked pretty impressive on in the past.
A hell of a lot of pick coming through for Jhin Air. They can pillar off people, they can root them with the chains from Grace. You've got the Deadly Flourish, you've got the Dark Bindings. Plenty of lockdown here for Jhin Air, but they need to get ahead yet again. SKT, Blank moving over to a much more aggressive jungler now with the Kindred compared to the Sejuani. Can he have a similar performance, pull off those ganks, and constantly be a step ahead of Umti this time in Game 2?
Your first indication from the draft is no, priority-wise. The Ornn does very well against Jace early, and then Jace, after an item, might be able to have some threat there. So Ornn, surprisingly, does actually do very well against the Jace in the early parts, but LeBlanc can control the Orianna situationally. I think the Jhin is in a great spot against Ezreal. There is the potential for there to be 3 lanes that need the Kindred's assistance rather than being able to invade with the Kindred. So I'm very excited to see if Blank can pull off a very creative level 2 play, or that SKT can set up a 3-buff scenario at level 1 to actually find a way to diffuse some of the strong lanes from Jhin Air Green Wings.
Well, Pyrian, a very impactful performance with the Swain in Game 1, able to roam down with those TPs and help turn that into an SKT victory. Can he do the same now that he's going to be functioning on the Orianna? We'll see if he can pull it off. But a lot of pressure on SKT with this draft coming into game number 2. Let's see if they can close this one out nice and neat, or if Jhin Air will extend us to a third and final game of the night. Game 2 coming at you. Full audience here on a lovely Friday evening. Though I assume it's lovely now because it's nighttime now. The sun's gone, so hopefully it's less sweltering outside.
It is our last Friday broadcast of summer.
Yep.
As there will be no Friday broadcast. Next week, it is a 5-day match week, back to the old match days. Next week, and then a short week, and we're already into playoffs, Kilios. So if you've enjoyed Friday Night League of Legends, gonna have to go away with it for a while. LPL running right now, so could be multi-twitching if you want. I believe it's RNGWE over there on LPL 1.
Pretty exciting
But
game.
the LPL will continue to be on the Fridays. It'll have to find a place in your heart to replace the LCK, because this might be the last Friday game of the season.
Yep. Also going to be done with those triple best-of-3 days, which I'm sure you're rather excited about.
After the 9 games, the dream, I'll take it.
I think we had that during the last one, because you and I were casting on one of the triple best-of-3 days, and I think we might have had
8.
It was 8. Oh, okay. We got so close. It's all right. We've always got Jhin Air SKT.
Exactly. We've always got potential for this to be a very extended one. We're only one game through. As we talked about a potential level 2 play from the Kindred. This is a level 2 play from who knows about the ward Achilles. Haha, he says. He's ready for that one.
Blank does not have anyone warding him out. He's going to jump forward. Nobody takes a lot of damage. Heal already coming through from the Morgana, and Teddy's like, yep, guys, I'm screwed. I'm just going to run up the lane. He'll get taken down. Doesn't blow the flash. Has the TP to get back into lane swiftly if he wants to use it, but great roam down from Blank already. Getting feisty here with this Kindred. Take away the blue, but it's going to be a trade in that regard. But otherwise, first blood to SKT.
So easy for SKT, because remember, they knew was topside, so there was no chance of any counter ganks coming through at the level 2 moment. Kindred comes in off an SKT ward, so of course wasn't spotted by Jin Air. And you also know that you go back to the draft and we say, wow, Ezreal into Jin. Jin does really well in this matchup and can punish the Ezreal. It's Teddy. He's going to be playing aggressive. He's going to be trying to punish the pick. Very early is his takedown. Punished. Can only get a control ward on the back. It is the Hail of Blades from Teddy again, so it's all about the auto attacks here and the amount of damage that can be built up through the Hail of Blades, the Storm Razor, the celerity that you take with this, but very nice start for SKT.
Yep. Pyrion holding his own right now against Grace. It's going to be a 2v2. They don't know about Blank yet. Pyrion getting jumped on, but here comes the Kindred. Getting jumped down. He's going to flash away, flash forward from Blank. Will find another kill, 2-0. Already just 3 minutes in. Blank is just a step ahead of time and time again in this series. Pyrion going low, getting jumped on, has to flash away from Grace. Good pressure coming back out of the LeBlanc. Let's go ahead. Finish off that mirror image, but whew, what a start.
Blank will help them push. Man, when goes to bed tonight, he's going to be worried about Blank still being there for another gank. Kilios, every time he's gone somewhere, the counter gank has been supreme from Blank. Having a day out once again. That was push up the wave, helps out his mid laner. Jin Air pushed in the bot side, 2 in this matchup. Everything going wrong for Jin Air.
Such an issue for them at the moment. Just going to be slingshotting this Kindred forward with the build. We'll see if he's going to go for Warrior or if he's feeling spicy enough to get that Blood Razor coming in.
It's cool to see Blank in this sort of a form. It's been so long, Achilles, since Blank was the closer. And I guess you would say mostly spring season, but to some degree summer season of last year. Lee Sin was undefeated for so long in 2017, even though Peanut was the famous Lee Sin on the lineup. Yep. No confidence this year, as of course we have seen many times, but you watch Solo Q, whether you're watching his stream or Faker's stream, and you see Blank, he can situationally be popping off in some big ways. So it's good to see him translate that form into competitive games for the first time in a long time.
He's back for a repeat visit. Umti's nearby. Not sure if he's going to try to cut over into the mid lane, but he's got that scrying plant, so goes ahead and spots out the Kindred anyway. So he'll just push forward. To make sure that control ward does stay standing.
And Trundle is aware of this situation. Will start to give it up. Very difficult to make anything out of. The lane positioning here for Blank, hoping that there's going to be a face check onto the control ward. Pyrion walks up. So will Blank, and Blank says, how about I help myself to another one of those marks?
Yep. He's going to be happy to gobble that up. Umti just baiting over onto that top side jungle, taking away the Gromp. TP comes in from Tal. Diving in Ornn, probably not going to be the best idea. So, just going to be rotating through the jungle, picking up the camps where he can. Blank now returning over towards mid. Is he wrapping around? They're going to spot him out. He jumps in. Grace going to be going low. They know exactly which one it's going to be. Turret shot goes through. Grace barely staying alive. Doesn't have a flash now. Has to rely on the distortion. Blank coming forward. Still on the chase. The Ornn not really nearby yet. Seems like he will be able to make it out with his life. The acceleration gate thrown down just for an extra little bit of speed.
Blank is in the right spot again. And remember, we thought this would be a difficult game for the Kindred because the priority should have been there for Jin Air. It hasn't been there. The bot lane is definitely going to be a much more comfortable lane after level 1 went so wrong for the side of Jin Air.
Yep.
The pathing has been fantastic from Blank, so everything has gone way worse than expected for Jin Air with some very strong lanes. And for SKT, they're feeling rich, and they got a Merc Treads already on the Orianna, so there's no real burst potential for the LeBlanc.
I mean, this is looking like game 1 of Hanwha versus BBQ. The Kindred coming out on top of the Trundle. Very nicely done here by SKT. And you know, there's a very free piece of content. It's unlikely, but if SKT could make it into that summer final, run the gauntlet again from the bottom, make it all the way to the top, off the back of Blank's play like this. We already had Detective Pooney. I'm ready for Agent 612.
Well, I don't know if they'd find the same humor in that, but
I'm not sure if the Koreans meme about that as much as the English audience.
I don't think they do.
Probably not.
They've got their own memes. I don't know if we can repeat all of one broadcast. Turns out everyone has mean-spirited memes.
That's true.
But it would also be fitting because the grand final, which was announced today, if you're joining us late, Incheon Samsung World Gymnasium actually was the site of the 2017 spring final that was won by SK Telecom T1. The last final that they won was in that venue. So definitely some history for them at the finals venue.
Looks like we might have a dive here on Natal. He's level 7. Going to be calling out the Ornhorn. Takes a lot of damage. Tries to flash to the side. Still taken down. But one final tower shot. Makes it a 1-for-1. SKT still putting kills on the board.
Very difficult to pull off these ganks. We
5
see Trundle
seconds
ganks
from his flash.
Oh, watching the bot side. Teddy takes some damage.
Bang pushing forward. It's going to be the Deadly Flourish finding the root there. On to Effort. Massive true shot barrage. Nova takes another Mystic shot. The back of the head, but will not be taken down. Has the heal. But if not for that, he would have been dead.
Bang hits every skill shot. Going to be a happy time for SKT fans in the mid lane. Brace takes an aggressive trade. It is Merc trade, so the kill pressure's not there. Might actually lose out a lot of these trades.
Chain way off to the side, so not going to get that extra bit of damage in.
Really not a big fan of the Trundle with no minion wave ganks onto an Ornn with so much turn. Grace.
Chain now, but Grace is out of mana.
Yep.
Just have that mirror image proc. Rotates over. So yeah, you know, it's just on my way to get the blue anyway. Mark being taken by Blank. Pushing in. Do they actually want to contest this? The blue's already gone. So they start moving their way over towards the blue. They have that ward thrown down.
With their bot side control, could see Blank solo down this Mountain Drake right now. There's a control ward arising to clear that first, but good control here and a pushing lane in the bot side as things have gone horribly wrong for the Jhin lane after 2 sets of trades. The Jhin is actually down 30 CS.
Yeah, this is maybe a Flame Horizon game coming through, but for now, an Abyssal Voyage to cut off Umti. And this is going to be a flash over. The Tongue Lash comes in, and Blank will find his second kill. As that assist. And honestly, they could just get this Mountain Drake if they wanted. Seems like they'll just go their separate ways for now. Grace barely missing out on the chain. Would have invited him in for a distortion over the wall, perhaps, to try to take down the Orianna, but he himself is also down by over 30 CS now.
Collapse timing was really good by Effort and just a really poor map read for Umti. He should understand that even though Jhin Morgana was picked to win the 2v2, they're so far behind that priority is with the SKT lane, not the Jhin Air lane. So he walks up, gets pincered from multiple angles. Doesn't matter that he has his flash, he still dies. Umti, once again, 3 deaths in the early game, and Mountain Drake does go the way of SKT.
Yep. Pick it up there at the end. Seems like it'll be another Mountain on the way after that. We'll see that around the 16-minute mark. So on up at the top lane. Probably like, guys, I'm winning. Can you pick up the CS, please? Just has that 1 assist coming through from the dive, but again, that's a 1v1, so definitely not the best situation. Tall just going to keep clearing out the waves now. Tall's breath really helping to work down those minions.
And Orange so much ranged farming, can even ult the wave. It's going to take a lot longer for Jace to actually find real inroads in this lane, whatever his item build. Seems like it's going to be Yoma's Ghostblade to try to sidestep the Ornn ultimate. Could also be something more aggressive, but my guess is going to be that Ghostblade. That's not going to be a Blade of Ruin King. Then maybe you need the Black Cleaver. You kind of need a lot of items to actually have true threat onto the Ornn.
It's been the most standard start for Jace's historically, so probably just going to be the Yomas.
Teddy will be going for the Stormrazor, but Double Dagger obviously feels bad as a first buy here.
Iceborne's completed for Bang. That's going to be a wraparound onto Teddy, taking some shots. The turret's still here, offering a lot of damage onto Bang, but that's going to be the Devourer coming through, and Teddy flashes away, but I think it was just a waste. The Tongue Lash will take him down, and you can see this is weighing heavy on him right now. 0, 2, and 0 on this Jhin.
Might just go for a behind rapid fire cannon because he's had such a bad item timing. Just chasing on further is Bang. Doesn't have much to worry about. He's got the Tahm Kench in his pocket. Bot lane, a complete disaster for the side of Jhin Air. Could not have gone any worse, really.
I mean, I'd say pretty much everything is pretty disastrous right now.
I mean, top lane's going all right.
It's doing fine, yeah. Again, has the assist, but the dive up top certainly not doing that well, so they still gave a kill over to Tall. So overall, things are not going great for Jin Air here in game 2. Rift Herald going to be summoned into the mid. Already the tower being chunked out. This charge should just about finish it off, if not one tag from Bang will.
Watch how many objectives and how much gold is in the game before Teddy even gets his first item. Right now, it is 2 turrets and a Drake. It's going to be more. The Rift Herald also should be mentioned there. As you say, second charge, always going to come through. Very healthy was Shelly for that second charge. Omti's still getting red buffs, but soon those camps are going to be contested. And the Jace, who just wants a happy long farm lane against the Ornn, is not going to get it.
No, he does not. He is going to find himself up against Bang, who's got the Manamune and that Iceborne Gauntlet. Nova's already on the rotation up top. And Omti is hovering nearby.
2-item Ezreal already.
They're looking for a 4-man gank up top.
It's counter gank also play here because Teddy and Nova have been taken a few times. They see no one showing bot side, so I'm sure Bang knows there's more members here of Jin Air, but remember Bang was guilty of face-checking game 1.
Forward. It's going to be Nova going in, drops down the chains. Bang trying to jump away, has to burn the flash. Effort comes his way out of there. Nova takes a lot of damage. True Shot Barrage now coming through. And again, almost kills him. Has to flash and heal just to get away as they 2v4 turn this around.
Well, the face check does almost happen like game number 1, but it's a different game because of how far behind Jin Air is. You can't make baits like that when a 2v4 could happen to Kilios, and they make a play, they try to turn the momentum, they can't. Manamune finished for a while. No kill pressure onto Pyrian after the Merc Treads were finished so early. Merc Treads more magic resist than the Sorcerer's Shoes is going to shred. Blank is feeling strong as well. Everything going well for SKT.
Yeah, just about pristine here for SKT. Teddy can see just massive chunks on every Mystic shot. Teddy just going to be stuck underneath the tower. Bang missing in the last couple does help Teddy out quite a bit, but he's still going to be going back to base regardless. See if he wants to use that TP to join in quickly or not.
SKT will continue to push them. They're happy this be a square game. Pyrian's low.
Yeah, miss on the chain. Grace going to be out of mana now. That would have been a great solo kill opportunity, but this is out with the E. Turret's still taking a hell of a lot of damage here from Bang. Blank hovering nearby as Teddy just gets poked to hell and back. True Shot will take him down, and Nova will die. A double kill going over to Bang effectively solo here. Effort gets to devour. Umti's got nowhere to go. It's a triple. This guy, stony-faced. He's played this Ezreal a million times. This guy is a cold-blooded killer with this champion, unaffected. 4-0 and 2, half of those kills on him. SK Telecom making a statement in this second game.
Bang just styling onto Jin Air there. It was disgusting stuff when you think about how much he was able to do so quickly onto first the Jin, then the other 2 members, making them look silly. Achilles, SKT are sending Jin Air to school. And this is a school they're going to need a remedial class to get out of, because they're down 8-1 in kills. It's 7,500 gold at 15 minutes. That's 500 gold a minute.
I mean, they're making this look like 2016 SKT versus 2016 Jin Air. This is a stomp. This is the biggest stomp that SKT have been a part of in a while.
It's great to see from SKT, for them to style, for them to address some of the issues in game number 1. A lot of burst there.
That's going to be a Lamb's Respite drawn out. So yeah, you can see the damage from Grace is here. But now he's got to run away because, hey, Bang's here! Goodbye to your mirror image. You got a blast cone, but the auto attack, you can't mitigate that. Once it goes through, you can't get away from it. There's no escape. Bang finds another one. 5 kills for him.
It's not often you have the MVP decided at about 12 minutes, but 16, it's the most obvious thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we found our MVP for the day.
Well, unfortunately,
or for the game.
He hasn't been able to out-damage the entire enemy team, so he's still got things to work on.
Come on, Bang. Tisk.
By the way, remember when I talked about how many items will be how many objectives will be taken before the first item is complete? There's still no item on Teddy.
Nope. Still working on it. Effort's going to get jumped on. Ornhorn coming through to try to keep him alive. He's going to go gold
Bang's
in.
Here.
Big pop-up. Bang is still going to be nearby. Now Effort flashing away. Grace comes in, looking for the execution. Onto the Ezreal. Nearly finds him. The Devourer is there. Effort keeping him alive. That 4th and final shot. Not going to get a kill, but the shock blast from So Will. Jin Air put a second on the board, and they all managed to stay alive, including Grace, who's just got a sliver of HP.
They finally find a way, but of course, because of a sheer outnumber by Jin Air, they pick up an answering kill. Teddy should finally have his rapid-fire cannon on the next back, but already 2 Mountain Drakes, 3 turrets, and a Rift Herald before the first item is complete for the Jin. It isn't going to change the game, but it's at least something on the board for the side of Jin Air. Sad, sad game number 2 for them here after fighting so valiantly in game number 1.
Yep. Incredible.
Well, it is a 3,500 gold lead just for the Ezreal over his opponent, which we don't often see 3,500 gold leads in 17 minutes. We have a lot of close games. We've had so many 2-1s this week.
Checking for the red buff, but oh, silly Bang. He's much further behind than that. He's just now getting to the red buff.
Outrageous game here from Bang and SK Telecom T1. We've seen a lot of teams get way ahead on Kindred comps in the early game, but this has really been about the Ezreal. Some great pathing from Kindred to punish the Jin at level 1, and from bad to worse has gone the bot lane for Jin Air. No Baron to even take because we're only 18 minutes in. The double control ward. Not the sort of mistake you can afford to make, because that's 75 wasted gold, and you're already down plenty gold.
That you are. We're looking at pretty close to 10,000 here. Inching towards that. Bang. Play quite far forward here in the mid lane. Jump coming through. Shockwave. Not going to connect, but the Abyssal Voyage comes down, and Bang has arrived yet again. Looking for the autos. One final. Will take down Effort.
How many kills?
Effort take down Grace as Effort plays forward. Umpty. One more hit will do it. Bang finds another double. 11-2. Losing my mind for all the right reasons in this game. Mixing it here. And it's not over yet. Teddy trying to play forward, now has to flash away. True Shot Barrage comes through, chunks Nova down below half HP. Nova barely going to escape, but this time doesn't have to use the heal or the flash at least.
What is it with Bang when Faker's not in the mid lane? Again, when Easyhoon was on the lineup, Bang would always be relentlessly aggressive, and when Faker came back, he understood there's someone else who's going to be the MVP. I'm going to hang back and play safe. I know my role. It's cool to see that even years later, he can return to his aggressive side as Bang is taking this game by the horns, ridden it all the way to almost a 19-minute legendary, and has decided the game off his own back.
Maybe he's the kind of guy who feels like if Faker's on the rift, he's playing in his shadow and doesn't want to play forward as much.
Again, it's that thing of the lineup when SKT was put together was, we need a safe bot lane, not a carry bot lane. We need Bang and not Piglet, which was their options at the time. Well, sometimes you don't need safety, sometimes you need style, but unfortunately Ezreal's not here.
Horn already going to be used, but it's fine. They don't need to interrupt that curtain call because Blank's going to be all right. So I had the Lamb's Respite just in case he needed it. But he's going to be all right.
It's just so welcome to see him slide back into a scenario like this. Slide back into just styling on the enemy, show relentless aggression in a way that fans couldn't know for sure he could return to. It's been a good year for Bang in spring season. His KDA was high, he was pretty good, but he wasn't dominating games. The biggest criticism of SKT's bot lane has always been, at best they'll be passive, at best they'll be even, they'll never win the game. Bang got an introduction this game, he definitely got a bit of an assist, a handball over if you're an Aussie Rules fan, and he took that ball and ran with it, and that's the part that SKT fans will be excited about.
Well, he is up about 40 CS. Mid lane is a massive, massive lead for Pyrian, who is looking for a Flame Horizon over Grace. This LeBlanc pick has been good from the past. We've seen a couple trades coming in, but overall not going to be nearly as impactful as it needs to be. Not going to be putting any stacks on that Dark Seal. No kills. And just 17 more CS to go, and then it's going to be a Flame Horizon here. Even SKT dropping the double control ward. Grace gets jumped on, falls down to half. Nova! Oh, he almost walks right back into that True Shot Barrage.
21-minute legendary denied from Bang.
What a record. It's got to be pretty fast.
Yeah, I would guess like 13 minutes. How many kills did Peanut have in that 15-kill game against the Gigabyte Marines in 20 minutes? Probably most of them. Another SK Telecom record. SKT full of records. They'd love to add a 2-0 to their record as they try to keep in touching distance of the playoffs. Looks very unlikely they would reach playoffs before. Looks very unlikely that Jin Air will still have Baron on the map at 22 minutes.
bring him to a 7-7 record.
Look at this Baron damage.
And,
Obscene.
I mean, Bang's got so much. He's got a Muramana at 22 minutes with an Iceborne Gauntlet and a Blade of the Ruined King. Now he's got a QSS on top. You can't lock him down. He's got the Arcane Shift. He's already so elusive even without this QSS. But it's on the off chance that a Dark Binding hits him. Now it doesn't matter at all.
Best thing about someone going QSS when they're way ahead, especially Bang and the form he's in, is that means he can Arcane Shift aggressively, whether his summoner spells are up or down. That means we should see continued plays with him walking up, feeling confident, teleported in to bring the Baron buff onto this cannon and take down another turret. Will be the inner turret. That'll be all of the turrets down on the map outside of the base at 22 minutes.
Yep. Well, final inner turret going to be falling. Just inhibitor ones remaining. As Bang just goes ahead, throws out that True Shot Barrage, takes a decent chunk off so on. Shock Blast not nearly getting as much damage in. Blank takes a bit of damage from the LeBlanc, but still does have that Lamb's Respite. Shockwave comes through and Empty's going to go down yet again. 12-2 now. Going to be the count as SKT is up 15,000 gold at 23 minutes in.
If you're going to do it with style. SKT have really styled on Jin Air in game number 2. Got one inhibitor down, second inhibitor. It's going to be 3 inhibitor turrets at 23 minutes.
First inhib falling in mid. Still sticking around to heal up as best as he can. Now Bang will just be opening up onto this bot inhib. There are empowered minions rolling through. Tall bringing up the top lane. Grace tries to get an exchange there onto the Ornn, but he is going to be fine. Ornn ready to go. He's going to call this one out now as the first Nexus turret does drop. Curtain Call going to be used. Black Shield in on to Teddy in the back line, but he's just tickling the members of SKT with these shots. The bullets just don't even matter. Effort right up in front. Teddy holding that fourth and final. Is going to get the whiff. Umpty flashing away, trying to stay alive, but Bang chases in. Gets the final Mystic shot to take down the Trundle yet again for the umpteenth time. I don't even know how many times he's died in this game. Teddy retreats back over to the fountain. The Nexus is under siege. Grace tries to get something done, but it is all for naught. A 24-minute slobber knocker at the hands of SK Telecom. They smash Jin Air out of this second game, out of this series. They pick up the win.
A slobber knocker requires there to be some sort of a contest. There wasn't one. It was just a slaughter. They slaughtered Jin Air where they stood. Legendary for Bang just before the game ends. Gets 8 kill onto Umpty. Jin Air just completely demolished by SKT in game number 2. Not too many demolishings this season that could be as one-sided as that. Big smiles from Blank in the booth. SKT have done their jobs. They've had a day out, and all they can do is chain together as many 2-0s as possible and then hope results go their way, because the chances of SKT making playoffs, they may still be remote, but they're still there.
They're working on it, trying to get there. This is going to bring SKT, I believe, to a perfectly neutral scoreline. 7-7, 17 wins, 17 losses, and 0 differential. Still going to be sitting in that 7th place spot as well, just for the full 7s coming through. But Jin Air, you can see, a bit dumbfounded here. Seems like they're still not sure what just happened.
You're not
over
often
so quick.
You're not often blasted that hard. They were out of this game so early. It was really, really difficult to imagine being a Jin Air player there. Some big mistakes from Umpty in both the games in the early game. Trying to make plays, but unfortunately being too easily read by Blank and the side of SKT. Series very, very quick. We started after 8 p.m. We're done less than 2 hours later. Not a lot of gameplay in the second game. Game 1 was long. Game 2 was anything but. Pack up your stuff. Get ready for your next game, SKT. You've definitely earned an early night, and we'll see how they do next time out.
Absolutely stellar from them. I mean, they cut the Game 1 time basically in half. 24 minutes in that second game. Absolutely insane, and
who will be the MVP of this video game?
I have no idea.
Will it be the Ornn?
I think so. Tall, very deserving.
Well, Jin Air got 2 kills, and SKT took 1 billion things. So I count 27 things there. 13 kills, 11 turrets, 2 Drakes, and a Baron.
Bang had so many multi-kills coming through this. What was that? What did you call it? His bus that he drives, you know?
I don't think we settled on a name, but he certainly was a bus driver once again.
There's a very massive bus here. for the 80 carry of SK Telecom. Wonderful performance from him. Just, you know, dirty stuff, not safe for work in that match. And yeah, they walk away with a 2-0 win. So, a nice improvement from SKT after suffering a loss at the hands of BBQ. We were a bit concerned coming into this, expecting maybe for Jin Air to be able to take one away as well, but not to be found.
Not the same team that dropped a game to BBQ today is SKT. No. They certainly looked square in game number 2. This was old SKT form, as you said so aptly earlier, Achilleos. Waiting to get the AR ready to give Bang the MVP for game number 2.
If it's anybody else, I will riot.
It won't be someone else.
Throw my papers.
Is rioting a bad thing to do when you're casting League of Legends?
He didn't even have any runes!
Holy crap!
He just crushed them with no runes!
What's even more rude?
Bang, you god!
Well, he definitely had runes.
Yeah, he absolutely
That was a bit of a snafu. Apparently, OGN needed more time to prep Bang's runes. Could you not have done it at 8 minutes?
Apparently not. They were so dumbfounded by how hard he clapped Jin Air that they forgot to update the graphic.
Well, this was pretty graphic.
It was.
This was Teddy dying again.
Yeah, they didn't need more graphics.
No.
They said not safe for work. The action coming through.
This was, of course, the stylish triple kill.
It was basically a 1v2 coming out of him. Tongue lash hit, but it doesn't really matter. Nova was still going to die.
Away jump shot, a second kill, and then Omti says, "Oh, my best laid plans. I had plans today." Instead, he was dead.
He can get to his plans earlier because we have an early night. Now it's only 10 p.m.
Well, it wasn't looking like it would be a 10 p.m. night, and SKT Jin Air has heralded many late games. In fact, it's funny how this series went because we had a double elder that didn't exist, mostly because of SKT Jin Air in our first game. And then this was the opposite of that game.
You know, you and I don't usually get early finishes, Pop Smithy. But, I don't know, there's something in the air. Caster Jun's not here as well. So, it seems like everything just culminates in for a very early finish for us. So, thanks, Bang.
We can get dinner at some nice restaurants now.
Yeah, we can go have a nice little candlelit meal, you and I.
Sounds
finally.
romantic.
The dinner I've always promised you. I can take you out tonight. But let's go ahead and throw over to Joel for our interview translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translation. Hoping I can join for that dinner that you've been talking about, but we are
You're not invited.
Three's a crowd, Joel.
There we go, but easy clap for Bang and the rest of the boys at SK Telecom as they beat out Jin Air Gaming's. Very sad playing, but SK Telecom looking very happy. I'm going to talk to the MVPs today. You do have that period. Did you feel like you did your part today? Well, for game 2, I feel like I rode the bus just a little bit, but for game 1, I think I did well. And Bang, you're now on the golden throne. Do you feel that coming to you? And it does feel good nowadays. And of course, now you're looking at that. While you do that, and you see Blank obviously maybe want to share that MVP point 50-50. Could be that, but now that you won, did you feel maybe someone was a big contributor into getting the win? Who did the more of a carrying today? It's a difference between from the perspective of the pros. I think Effort did well, obviously. You guys probably didn't know that, but whenever you come to that level 2, it feels as if Blank did everything, but Effort was the one to really call up that shot calling to make sure that play that calls that gets us a big advantage early. Something that we already discussed over. The one that came up with that idea was Effort, so. No, we were trying to talk about that in the later parts of the interview, but of course you did get the win, and that's the most important thing. And for Effort, you want to maybe take a bit of points to yourself and share a little points over to Effort. I think I'll get 20 points and Blank and Effort can get 40 each. Well, you want to get something to Tall as well? I'll take about 80 points. A little bit of greed, but you gotta have that greed to be a mid laner, I guess. But let's talk about that game one. Obviously, the quick cover, the counter ganks, the players coming back to help their teammate was the big story for SK Telecom and T in that game one. And did you feel as if you were trying to survive through that gank? It was a mistake of mine. I didn't think that he was gonna actually flash into grab me like that, so it was a mistake. And where's Pyrian? Were you on standby for that one? I was laning in mid lane and I kind of saw thought that Skarner was gonna head towards bot lane, so I was trying to get for the teleport as soon as we can. And Pyrian, you're coming for that cover and really a huge talent of yours. Do you feel like that's the biggest thing that you have right now? But whenever I do have the teleport, I have to always be aware of my surroundings and try to go with the maps and be aware at all times. And for that game too, obviously you thought that the mid laner was all about just putting in and just pressuring the lane was the biggest thing. What do you think is your preferred playstyle? I think roaming is a little bit more preferred for me, but at the same time when I'm being aggressive I can do that as well, so it's situational. Definitely I can adjust my playstyle to different situations. So you're good at everything is what you're saying, period, but something that has been understood for a while, but we'll do look at how Bang did his parts. See how the teammates helped out as well. Of course we saw through the highlights and multiple kills coming through for Bang. And basically any Q that came through. And the ultimate, it just skill shots. Are they? How do you, well, I'm sure you're gazing at your plays right now, Bang. You feel like it was a day to get all the skill shots on? Well, game one I made a lot of mistakes, but and if I feel like it can continue on like this, then it could turn up like that. So I was trying to get my focus back on and try to get the feedbacks and try to find more stability. What I was trying to do for game two. For mid lane, I mean, you were talking about the Orianna LeBlanc and it really was talking about Blank coming with that counter ganks once again. Did you feel like you want to push for that to happen? We were trying to see if we can pressure the mid lane a bit early with me and Blank, and I think he was trying to just hover around the area and came in at the right time. And with the bench and obviously the strategy that came with Orianna just pushing in like that, but as soon as Trundle came in, you really saw Blank coming for that counter gank to go for the kills right away. Was that a made situation? Depending on the laning, how far pushed back it was, and there was a situation where the gank, the pressure was definitely there, so I think he was trying to just cross the mid lanes and trying to see if there was any counter gank possibilities there. And really, we saw just a high pressure situation for all of you guys today. Really just a casual answer from Pyrian. Just an extreme form of game today, as we really thought that that one moment could have turned it around against you guys for one moment in the game. Was there a lot of nervousness in that? I think mid lane we took a lot of advantages on, so we were trying to just cover around the vision and try to expand our vision as much as we can and try to maneuver around the game and take it easy and take it slowly to get the win, but that was the thing. But with Xayah and Rakan, whenever we do have that Tahm Kench become kind of slower in that phase, so it felt a little bit nervousness at times as well. And Bang, we gave you this question last time, but I think the meta is slowly shifting back to this traditional ADCs being a lot more viable now, and now we're trying to get in the question of how viable the traditional ADCs are now. I think range champions, I think it's a little bit more comfortable, definitely in the composition and how you run the macro game. But if you take really makes it easy to fit into the puzzle pieces of getting that range champion in there. Really, that's what leads on to the consecutive wins for SK Telecom. But now, on a good roll and really continue on this win streak. See how long this win streak will continue. But you do have very strong opponents with Genji and Griffin as well. But really, it has to be tough for all you guys. And I'm sure you guys want to continue on this win streak. Anything you want to say about that? Well, for us, it doesn't really matter which team it is. We have belief that we can beat any team in this LCK league. So hopefully this possibility is now coming on. So hopefully we can keep this good momentum going. So it doesn't matter which team it was, and it feels like mathematically calculated that Bang can beat everybody, seems like, at this moment in time. And now you guys are taking the good vibes of SK Telecom, and with Period, a lot of credit being given to you personally by all the public. And now it just seems like maybe a Faker not coming out, and now Period making an appearance, but leads on to the wins. Maybe you want to say a little bit about yourself as a player. Well, recently, I did make my appearances, and I think the future will be the more important thing, as just making more efforts and trying to perhaps show a better performances of myself is what I'm trying to do. And to be remembered as a talented player takes a bit more games to get that done for Period, but for Bang and the rest of SK Telecom picking up that win, extending their win streak, is looking as good as ever, now ever closer to getting to that playoff phrase. And a win over to SK Telecom. That's going to be the end of the interview. Handing it back to you guys for the rest of the broadcast.
Thank you very much, Joel. I'll give my considerations to you joining us for dinner, but thank you for the translation. As always, good to hear from those guys. And, you know, still showing some confidence, saying that they can beat anybody in the LCK. And after smashing that hard in Game 2, we can start believing in that a little bit more.
Game 2, SKT from this series would stack up against any other team in the LCK. But Game 2 LCK, SKT has been seen once, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can repeat that against a team that makes less mistakes in the early game. Blank was fantastic, so was Period and the rest of the squad, and 7-7, like you mentioned, Achilleo, 17-17 means they find themselves in 7th spot. They are one match win, but game score away of 5th spot, so they are certainly within the discussion of top 5 still. And for SKT, who of course were 4-7 just 3 matches ago, that is an improvement that they will enjoy.
Yeah, and somebody, you know, watching at home, probably MVP, a sigh of relief seeing Jinair go down 0-2, trying not to fall into those bottom spots since they have ADD still in an emergency state. But tomorrow, it's going to be a pretty good start of the day. A Freak of Freaks versus Kingzone Dragon X, very hype match coming through. And then Griffin versus MVP. Unfortunately, we see this as a very, very one-sided matchup, where before it's like, oh, you know, maybe MVP can get some work done. They've surprised us with some Super Cheese coming into one of their last matches, but they don't have their top laner right now. It's very unfortunate what's happened to ADD, and unfortunate for him and for the organization, but we just wish him the fastest recovery that he can possibly have and hope to see him soon.
We don't have the roster, so we don't have the confirmation, but very unlikely that ADD will be back for tomorrow. Hope he is. Hope they're able to field him, because otherwise could be a one-sided one the first series. 2 teams that are teetering around that 5th spot. It's a very important victory for Kingzone or a Freak.
Yep, absolutely. Both of those guys going to be vying for that victory, trying to stay in that top 5. Thank you guys for joining us here tonight. I'll see you next week. Max will be back with Pop Smith tomorrow. I can't talk. Goodbye. Let's close it there.